there is something important and precious about time. When it comes to time, our breathing eventually will stop because our breathing will submit to time. Our lungs will stop expanding because our lungs will eventually submit to time. Our muscles and oxygen and all those things will eventually submit to time. And when it comes to time, time is one of those things that if your mother and your father met sometime, let's say 1732, you could be a part of an era where folks were stolen from their homes and placed on a slave ship surrounded by death and some of the most horrible sounds you could possibly imagine. If it was for time, time is one of those things that if you were born, let's say somewhere around 1918, you can experience seeing folks being lynched, having the trees be their grave sites, having the wind be the chorus of the songs in their funerals. If it was a thing called time, time would allow you to be born in 1953, experiencing what it is to ride in the back of the bus, or experiencing what it is to be found going to the back of a restaurant. But instead of those dates, you find yourself here January 17, 2012. Time. One of the things when it comes to the number one is not insignificant, but the number one is critical. See, one is actually large. See, oftentimes one play separates the difference between victory and defeat. Oftentimes you're only one phone call away from receiving the best news of your life or the worst news of the life. You're often one person away from meeting your husband and wife, the husband and wife of your dream, or the baby daddy or baby mom that will be a worst nightmare. You're often just one thing away. One is one of those things that's important. And typically when you only have one of something, you take care of it. Typically, when you have one car, you do a better job of taking care of it. If you have one child, you're more protective of it. If you have one gift for Christmas, you're more appreciative of it. But yet, when it comes to one, we find ourselves with only one life. One life, not cat syndrome, not 9 lives, but we only have one. And the question becomes, why don't we treat that one life as precious? Why do we act like we have more than one when we only have one? Why do we often act that this one life that we have is not a gift, but this one life that we have is often something we despise? Why when we only have one? The answer is, and the reality is that oftentimes we live in a world where in order for folks to feel superior, they make you feel inferior. In order for folks to feel good about themselves, they make you feel bad about yourself. And we live in a world where the media says in order for you to be pretty and beautiful, you have to be a size 2. And if you find yourself as a size 8 or a size 10, you find yourself out of the loop. We live in a society that tells us that in order to be brilliant, you have to have gone to certain college institutions. And if you did not, then that means that you're not brilliant. In order for you to feel good about yourself and successful, that means you couldn't have been raised and born in certain neighborhoods and certain environments. And one of those things that we have to realize is that we cannot change that. That in a nutshell is life itself. Langston Hughes says, life ain't been no crystal stair, and that's a fact of life. And there's nothing you can do to change that. You can't control the environment, but what you can control is your response to it. You can control how you respond to these challenges. You can control how you respond to these difficulties. When I was a kid, I would look at this Michael Jordan commercial. Anyone remember Michael Jordan? Remember the commercials? And I remember that Spike Lee would say, gotta be the shoes. And so when I was a child, and some of you could relate, what I would do is I would go to the store and get the sneakers, and I promise I would go play ball and pretend I was Jordan and honestly test to see if I could jump higher. Remember that? Remember when you put on your Jordan sneakers, you thought for real, like, I just ball better. I shoot better, I run better. And then all of a sudden you realize you're still making bricks. You realize that your jump is still only yay high. You realize that you're not as good, and the reality comes to mind that it is not all about the shoes. And typically we focus on the greatness of others so much that we convince ourselves that we ourselves are not great. And there's a scripture that says they should not glory in men, but for all things are yours. What that means is stop focusing on Jordan. Stop focusing on all those who are considered great Because everything you need to be great is already inside of you, not outside of you. But instead we find the truth in another Nike advertisement. It was one of the most popular advertisements in the history of marketing, and it would have the Nike check, and right under it would just say, just do it. Just do it. See, just do it says it ain't all about the shoes. Just do it says that it's not about what you need to access outside of you. Just do it simply says that all you have to do is stop talking and start moving. Just do it. So here we find it, but Michael Jordan is seen as great, and Michael Jordan is great, but it wasn't because of the shoes. See, Michael Jordan wasn't even good enough to make his 10th grade varsity basketball team. Michael Jordan wasn't like LeBron James, who on the cover of Sports Illustrated, it was said he was the chosen one. Michael Jordan was like Kobe Bryant, who was so good in high school that he would actually practice with the Philadelphia 76ers. Michael Jordan was one of those individuals that most folk didn't even know him. As a matter of fact, University of North Carolina recruited him, yes, but the only other university was Air Force University. Most folks didn't understand who Michael Jordan was, and yet we call him the greatest ball player ever. And why is that? Because 7 a.m., when everyone else wanted to sleep extra, when all the kids were having 5 more minutes of sleep, Michael Jordan was in the gym practicing. Michael Jordan was in the gym shooting baskets. When grown men and grown women were saying, nah, I'm not ready to get up yet, to get ready, Michael Jordan was practicing on his moves. When everyone else was like, man, I hate waking up this morning, Michael Jordan was already an hour in a workout. Michael Jordan just did it.